These buildings are just amazing. The same concept, same structure everywhere in the world, in all the countries, which means that was one unique empire in all of Russia, Europe, and America, and Australia, and many other continents as well. And just, some of them, it's kind of like interesting to actually say, were they built by the previous humanity for them, or were they built by the previous humanity for us? Or was it like a mixture or something? I don't know. It's just like you look at them, it's just impressive. People call these things Greco-Roman, but then you have these things on other continents where the supposed Roman Empire or Greek Empire never went. So, you know what I mean? Roman Empire and Greek Empire is awesome for Hollywood and for movies and for all those things that we love to watch to be entertained. But when we deal about history, we have pictures. For example, in this case, they added an M. An M in Roman letters means 1000, so they added 1000 years to history. Everybody knows that. It's not something like uncommon. The problem is people are scared to admit it. This is from the USA. Again, this is not built by American people. This was there in America, and then once the American country, the USA, and also Canada was constituted as an independent country, as a new experiment, then they torn everything down and they took everything away as well. And then you see all these places there where they started building the ugly cities, and then you had like these big buildings in the middle of nowhere. Just interesting. People call these pictures construction pictures, but can you prove it? It's a construction picture. What if it's like a deconstruction picture? What if it's like a destruction picture of what was there? So they deconstruct, they destroy what was there in the first place. So that's what I'm saying. I'm open-minded. Also, you see those huge windows and huge doors, and a door is meant for a human to go into. When you have a door, if the door is like 2 meters tall, it's for human beings of our race. We are maximum 2 meters tall. It's very uncommon to find people which are taller than 2 meters or like 1.9 meters. But then you can calculate that in feet if you're from America or from the US or Canada. But then you have these doors. Look at that. Look at the size of that door, man. Like, you feel like a tiny little piece of when you compare yourself to these places, which means that and also the windows here as well. It's just the humans of the previous empire were taller than us and bigger than us. That's a fact. And it doesn't mean that they were destroyed. It can actually mean that they just went away. They went to a different place, because people say, oh, how come they were reset? Reset doesn't mean that something happened bad to them. It could also be that they just decided to go away, or they were in war with a different race just like them or superior to them, and they lost, and then we were made inferior, so that we're not representing a threat to that race. I have these huge Arc de Triomphe type buildings as well, which are huge, and then we can also say that they were used like portals to different dimensions and stuff. We don't know, but what we do know is that we are not the builders. And I just don't like that when people go all about saying, an emperor or a king or a pharaoh, they gave an order and all the slaves were working to build these monumental buildings for what? For the glory of God, or for the glory of the emperor, or for the glory of the divine power, religious, whatever. No, nobody spends resources to build that stuff for ornamental or like religious motives or whatever. It's for scientific, technical, technological motives as well. Big palaces made of like crystal as well and glass. And again, you see like these primitive means of transport, like a proper like wood carriage with horse. And these horses would do their stuff on the street. It would stink in the middle of summer because all the horses would just from their asses. But you see that building in the back, and you see these people. These people are not the builders of those buildings. It's impossible it's difficult for me to conceive how this primitive human race with this primitive means of transport are the builders of those infrastructures. Those buildings are built by people with technology, with electricity, electric motors, etc. That's what I'm saying. So, and then the huge, the towers and everything to do with like the electromagnetic ether energy, which has been proven over and over again. It's not my fault that the big majority of the human race now wants to believe in theoretical theories from a closed classroom in a university where people, let's be honest, universities are just another way of making money, an enterprise, a business for making money. That's what a university is. That's what universities operate for, to make money. And end of the story. Then you have like these so-called fires in the major cities, and they say, oh, that building made of marble and concrete and metal was torn down by an earthquake and fire. Okay. And then you have like this guy here, just like they're in the middle of nowhere, because that's what people do, after a huge disaster, you just go there and you start painting, come on. This was destroyed intentionally via demolition, via lasers, via dynamite, whatever, controlled demolition. Fortunately, this is a public domain picture, so if it has to do with like something more recent from the year 2001, you're gonna get banned for actually saying something like that. But yeah, and then again, San Francisco, I don't care. I mean, it's up to you to actually believe that this is actually a natural fire and a natural earthquake. It's up to you. But when you study history the way you should, and when you look at all the pictures from America, and from Russia and Europe, and you see the same pattern of destruction and the same stuff happening in the whole of the 19th and 20th century, early 20th century, especially the 19th century. In this case, San Francisco was like one of the latest, like one of the last, because you have like the Columbia stuff, the Columbia Expo from Chicago, and they have San Francisco in 1906, and then pretty much then the First World War came, and then the Second World War, and that was the end. So, but by the time of the First World War, everything was reset via these so-called fires and stuff like that. So again, St. Petersburg, why is Russia and America identical? And Germany as well, and pretty much the most of Europe. Why? Because it was the same empire. Also, Australia is exactly the identical. And also South America, in Argentina, for example, and other places in South America, it's the same. Mexico also has lots of buried buildings as well. So you see what I mean? It's the same empire. And this empire is different from the empire in India, in today's India, but they're very similar, same constructions. Also here, check this out. You see the street level? You see that building was buried by like a lot of meters or like layers of earth or dirt, and they just like the pavement or the road, and that's it. And it cut the whole building, which is underneath. So what happened? Why? Why do you do that? And that means that there was no human activity during a very long period of time. Because if there's human activity, nobody would, in their sane mind, cover the whole street while like the building was covered by layers and meters of dirt. I think this is like the Penn Station in New York, which was destroyed in the 60s or the 50s or something. Again, how do you heat this thing? Because like winters are like cold, and it doesn't make any sense to build like that and with those huge columns and those huge arcs and everything. This was not built by us. But then, of course, and again, why would you, in your sane mind, destroy something like this to build an ugly building or an ugly parking lot? It doesn't make any sense. Fortunately for us, the public pictures are there. Again, this is Hollywood. Nobody in their sane mind would sit like that, and any like accident or like whatever happens, or maybe you lose focus or whatever, or you faint and you die. No, this is like just in a studio, and then they have like the green screen and the posters behind, and they do film, and that's it. See what I mean? And all those things like with the builders and stuff. Nobody in their sane mind. I mean, our humanity back at the beginning of the 20th century, you would pay somebody money to do this, and they would not accept it, because you could die at any moment from that height. That's what I'm saying. So everything is Hollywood movie style. Same with the Roman Empire. These like supposed cannonballs. If I pay you and you're like a strong man, let's say you're like a tall, strong man like Hercules, or like, I know, Khal Drogo, Jason Momoa, or like those guys who go in Hollywood and stuff, or like Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was in his prime. And I pay you money to move these things, and you're going to say, F you, leave me alone. So what kind of humanity like us? This means that the humanity that built these things, which was much taller and much stronger, so they could lift these things. Because you and I, like our like humanity, we men, we work there, and after one day of work, like after 1 hour of work, we go away, even if we get paid lots of money, because it breaks your bones. Heck, it breaks my eyes just to look at these things. Imagine if you have to load them and unload them and like use them for like, it doesn't make any sense. So again, a different race. Look at these buildings. Look at I'm mind blown. Like you tell me, you show me this in a movie, and I'm gonna tell you, oh, it's from a movie. This was reality, and these buildings were everywhere in the world. And look at the size of the doors, man. Like these doors, I mean, a door is meant for a human to go inside a building, right? That's why you have a door. So if the door is 5 meters tall, it means that those humans who went inside were 5 meters tall. I know it's difficult, I know it's ugly for you to accept, for most of you, but that's the reality of things. And the pictures prove these things for themselves, and they would have never destroyed, because many of these buildings do not exist anymore. They were destroyed, demolished, especially even in the 20th century. Demolished intentionally, and then they built some ugly buildings or ugly parking lots or whatever, or like they just leave the whole field. Nobody in their sane mind would destroy such things if it wasn't because they want to hide the true history and the past of our reset humanity, which is not even us. No, it's a different humanity. But that just makes people sad and depressed, the big majority, not you and me. I mean, I know you guys who are like watching my videos constantly. You watch them because you like them, and of course if you watch other videos as well from other YouTubers, you watch them because you like them and you like to see the pictures and you like to learn something. But the big majority of the human race, of our human race, would get depressed if all of a sudden the United Nations would just go out and say, hey, we did all this because we want to hide the true nature of our past, which was not actually our past, it was the past of a different human species. And imagine how people would actually feel. You know, they would go depressed and stuff, because not everybody is like you and me who just, you know, we look at these pictures and we say, wow, this is awesome, amazing. No, people would actually go in depression mode, because people are depressed anyway, the big majority of them. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the pictures, and I will see you guys in the next video with more interesting, amazing, super awesome, mega ultra, and this is definitely super awesome, mega ultra titanic, gigantic, whatever you want to call it, because, you know, and I'm gonna keep on showing you pictures, and then I'm gonna keep on like amazing you with like more interesting stuff like this in the public domain, in the public knowledge. You just have to sit on your ASS and sacrifice your mind and your eyes and your body and your mind to look and to search, just like people would do back in the day when they would go to a library to search in newspapers and books. Now we search on you know, digital environments. So take care.